So the future of real estate brokerage? Well, they're cloud-based brokerages. There's no question about that. Those are the brokerages that are either adding the most agents or retaining the most agents, even though possibly they're losing some, because right now the real estate market is tough. It is hard. And a lot of people are quitting and getting out of the business. So the vast majority of real estate brokerages across America are losing agents and have been doing so for the past several quarters. So why am I bringing all this up? Well, we're going to take a deep dive and compare the 4 major cloud-based brokerages that are out there today and see which may be right for you or someone you know that's looking to make a switch or looking to get into the real estate industry. So those 4 real estate cloud-based brokerages that we're covering here today are eXp Realty, Real Broker, LPT Realty, and Epique Realty. But first, quick disclaimer. I'm a real estate agent, so obviously I have to have my license hung somewhere, and I am with Real Broker. But I'm gonna do my best today to give you non-biased information, the facts of the matter about these 4 different companies, so that you can make the best, most informed decision as to where you may want to go if cloud-based brokerage models are on your list of things to look at. So feel free to call me if you have any questions about any of these brokerage models, especially Real, at 480-660-5974. So we're gonna compare and contrast these 4 brokerage models with the following categories so that you're fully aware of what they all offer. Number 1 is going to be the financial model or the splits and fees. Number 2, we'll talk about technology. Number 3, training. Number 4, culture and community. Number 5, stock. And number 6, revenue share. So the first category we're going to compare all 4 of these cloud-based brokerages with is going to be the financial model, the splits, and the fees, and what you're getting yourself into, what you need to be aware of. Now, in this scenario, I'm going to assume that everyone here is a real estate agent that's full-time that is actually trying to make a career out of selling real estate. And if that's the case, then first place for this category is going to be Real Broker. Now, quick sidebar. If you're not looking to make a career out of real estate and you just want to be like an influencer or a investor, a non-producing agent, so to speak, but you have a license and you want to have it hung somewhere on a cloud-based model, then the first place will go to LPT Realty. And the reason why is because LPT is actually 2 different tracks an agent can take when joining that company. Their first track is called a business builder, and their second track is called a rev share partner. Now, with the business builder, that's the one that you're going to want to do if you're kind of like a non-producing agent. We're not going to sell that much real estate. Going into it knowing that that's the track you would want to choose with LPT. Why? Because it's only a $5,000 cap for the year, and it's only $500 per closing that you have. But now that we got that out of the way, we're going to focus on agents that are trying to sell real estate and make this a career. Now, that looks different for everybody in terms of how many deals are going to close, because you may be new, maybe experienced, maybe a good market, maybe a bad market, but regardless, we're going to assume that you're trying to make that work. Therefore, you're going to try to sell as many homes as you can each and every year. So with Real, first and foremost, no monthly fees. Then you have an 85-15 split. You get an 85-15 split, but you're capped at $12,000 for the year as a single agent or a team lead. If you're on a team, you are capped at $6,000 a year on that same 85-15 split, which is great because you're half of what an individual agent would pay being at Real. And of course, there's a caveat that if you are on a team that produces over $100 million of sales every single year, then as a team member, you can be on a $4,000 cap on the 85-15 split, which is amazing. You also have an annual fee of $750, which is $250, $250, and $250 in your first 3 closings of the year. And then you're going to have a transaction fee after you cap, and only after you cap, of $285. That also can be split up any way the team leader and you would agree upon, so you don't have to cover the entire cost as a member on a team. So overall, this is going to be the cheapest model for that producing agent. Coming in second place is going to be LPT Realty. And the reason why is because LPT actually has an 80-20 split with a $15,000 cap. Now, they don't have any monthly fees, which is nice. They do have a $500 annual fee, and their TC per closing is $195. That's why LPT comes in at number 2. Coming in number 3 is going to be eXp Realty. And the reason why they come in at number 3 is because they have a 80-20 split with a cap of $16,000 for the individual agent or the team lead, and a half cap of $8,000 to the team member. Now, they have a monthly fee, which is $85, and some other fees as well, including a transaction fee after you cap, similar to the Real model to an extent. But overall, that's why they come in at number 3. Now, coming in at number 4 is going to be Epique Realty. Now, Epique Realty has an 85-15 split up to only a $15,000 cap, but you also have a $500 TC fee until you cap at $5,000 paid in those TC fees. The TC fee also can be a percentage of the deal based upon the price point. But again, you're capped at $5,000 in TC fees, but that's on top of the $15,000 cap you're already paying on your split. And then they have a heavy monthly fee of $149 every single month that you're paying whether you sell a house or not. Okay, now for the second thing, let's go to technology. Coming number one is going to be Real Broker. And the reason Real is number one is because they're the only one out of all of these brokerages and other brokerages as well that actually built and own their own tech from the bottom up, Lego block style, building on what they own and have built out from the foundation all the way up. Whereas other brokerages have bolt-on technology, other technology that they can go buy off the shelf and try to make them talk and connect together. It's not the same as owning the code, owning your own technology from the ground up. And that allows you to do a lot of cool things. So let's dive a little further on this technology with Real Broker. See, what Real is doing is they are creating financial technology. They would love to have Wall Street reevaluate their company as a fintech company that happens to be doing business in the real estate brokerage space. And if they're successful doing that, well, that will lead to a huge number and valuation on their stock from where it currently sits as just a real estate brokerage company. But that's not guaranteed, and it may not ever happen. But that's what they're trying to accomplish, and they're taking steps with different iterations in working towards that goal. And frankly, it's pretty cool what's happening right now as it's coming out. So what they did is they came out with Real Wallet. Now, Real Wallet is very similar to Apple Wallet and some of these other wallets that we're all accustomed to using right now on a day-to-day basis, but it's only for real agents. And Real Wallet allows an agent to be paid instantaneously when a closing happens, not an hour or two later from a wire transfer or an ACH, or even the next day with a paper check. So that's pretty cool, but that's just scratching the surface. They also are becoming a bank, and when money sits in that wallet, eventually there'll be an interest rate like a money market or a savings account, an interest rate paid on the money that sits in that wallet. Now, an agent can choose to move that money from the wallet to their normal bank account with Wells Fargo or Chase if they so choose. They don't have to keep it in there, but that's where it's paid to begin with. And with one click of a button, you can move it to wherever you want to go. The other thing that's cool is that the company can offer a line of credit to all the agents with the company based on their financial profile. So for example, if you're an agent that doesn't have a whole lot of deals going on, maybe your offering for a line of credit is going to be much less. But nonetheless, you have an unsecured line of credit in which by clicking a button a couple times, you can have that offering wired right into your other bank account with, say, Wells Fargo in the matter of minutes to hours. And you just simply agree to pay the interest on that loan like you would any other line of credit or HELOC as we know it. How cool is that? Now, if you're an agent that has a bigger financial profile with the company because you have unvested stock maybe at this point, or maybe because you have more deals in escrow closing or pending or listings on the market or revenue share, they'll offer you a larger line of credit in the form of tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars that, again, with a couple clicks of a button, right into your account that you can use for whatever you want to. You just pay it back with the interest like you would any other line of credit. It's pretty crazy how they're doing that, and it's an amazing idea. That's one that's going to benefit a lot of agents without having to go to the bank and fill out paperwork, because it'll help bridge the gap from the roller coaster ride a lot of us agents are on, because you have good months and bad months. And with that line of credit, it can help in that situation. Or maybe if you just want to go out and invest in real estate or whatever you want to do, you can use that money for whatever you would like to do without going to a traditional bank and filling out an application. Another thing the company is doing is they're coming out with credit cards and debit cards for all the agents. It's a Visa card that you simply use to buy anything you want, like you normally would buy in your everyday living, your groceries at Walmart or whatever you're doing. You use the Real credit card or debit card and you collect points. That point system is rolling out, and that point system will allow agents to accrue those points like you would with American Express or Visa or MasterCard, and use those points to, wait for it, offset your current brokerage fees. So you know that 85-15 split, or maybe those transaction fees that you pay with the company? Yes, you can use points to offset those fees so you don't have to pay for them, and yet the company still maintains the profitability, if not more profit, because they are benefiting from the interchange fees, the merchant service fees that normally would go elsewhere, like to Visa or MasterCard and those types of companies. So it becomes a win-win all the way around for the company and the agent, and of course, the stock performance. And just another thing that is a benefit of having the Real Wallet is the fact that you can run the profit first system them. Now, for those of you who read the Profit First book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I recommend you read it. But what it talks about is paying yourself first and basically living a little bit below your means so you can actually save some money, invest some money, and then of course paying your expenses after that. And so you can set up rules on the back end of your wallet to where when money comes in, you can have a certain percentage of money automatically move to certain accounts within your real wallet so that you have taxes set aside, money for giving charity, money for investing set aside outside of your normal operating income that you need to run your business and your personal life. That is really cool, helping agents be more successful and a better financial steward of their money. And that's just the financial tech side of the technology. They also have technology with AI coming out, and people say, well, yeah, AI, everyone's doing AI. That is true, but this is not white labeling ChatGPT or Gemini. This is actually their own AI that has learned through all the things that they program it to do that is specific to real and all the real agents. Every agent will have their own AI that will get to know them. And we're already seeing iterations of this, which is really cool. And eventually it will be able to work leads that you'll put into the system, your own dashboard, and they'll work leads trying to bring the hand raisers, the people who are most interested in possibly buying or selling real estate, up to the surface so you can communicate and talk with just them while you sleep, which is really cool, working 24 hours, 7 days a week on your behalf. That is what the artificial intelligence aspect of the technology Real's building out for their agents is also doing and will do more of in the future. Real's technology also is run on an app as well as, of course, the desktop laptop. But on the app, you can run all your business right from there. Everything you see on the laptop, you can get on your app, run it right off your phone, including doing business, including writing offers on documents and having them e-sign right from your app. You can do that from your app right there with Real Broker. And there's only one other company that has an app that looks decently enough, and that's Epique. But again, it doesn't have all the abilities for you to run your business from that app like Real Brokers does. Number 2 on the list when it comes to tech is going to be eXp. eXp has good technology offerings that they do offer their agents. Their technology pieces are white labeled that they are using and distributing to the agents, but they are pretty good technology overall for what they do service. eXp also has eXp World, where this is a digital avatar type scenario where you walk into a room as a little avatar and you go to different rooms where different trainings are located. You sit in a big eXp World and you have all kinds of options, and some of those options are actually really good. So the tech around those trainings and things that you find in the eXp World are actually pretty cool and different, I guess. But at the same time, if you talk to most eXp agents that do a lot of business, at least, they don't spend too much time in there because it can be a waste of time just fumbling around trying to get through some cool tech avatar stuff when really you're trying to sell homes. So again, it's different and there is some tech there and some different stuff, but overall the effectiveness to help you sell houses as a listing agent or buyer agent, not necessarily the best. Number 3 is going to be Epique, and Epique is number 3 because, again, they don't own their own technology. It is a technology they're using, they're buying and providing to their agents. Now, Epique has some good offerings for their agents that they're providing as value, but again, their costs are on the higher end. But going back to technology, again, very similar to eXp, but not as much as eXp has. So Epique comes in at number 3. So running your business on an app at the palm of your hand, Epique's app does seem pretty robust, pretty decent, but you can't run all your business like you can with Real Brokers app. And then of course with LPTs. Now with LPT being the cheapest brokerage out there, it's kind of what you'd expect because there's not the money to be able to redevelop into technology. So that app seems to be the least impressive in the ability to have good tech on your side with LPT, and that's why it comes in at number 4. So as you can see, technology is very important for you as an agent in today's real estate world. It's not like it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so having that technology at your disposal is very important, especially when you're on the go. So this is really going to benefit people who are on the go, working with buyers primarily. And that's why technology is so important. And for a buyer agent, being with Real is even that much more important. But overall, technology is going to help every sector of your business. So at the end of the day, this is a great thing to pay attention to that a lot of agents don't necessarily give it the credence that it deserves because of what it can do to assist you in your everyday business. Now, before we go to culture and community, I want to talk about one more thing, and that is offerings. Offerings that brokerages give to their agents. Now, we talked about some of these things already that agents can take advantage of, but tangible things that can be offered to the agents to use in their everyday life or business, I want to rate that really quick because that does matter. It is value to an extent to an agent if they find it to be such. And for offerings, the number 1 spot we'll go to Epique Realty. And I want to put Epique at number one on that because they do offer a lot of things. So for example, they offer billboards for some of their agents. They offer free car washes. They offer a free sign install for your listing. They offer potentially free transaction coordination and a few extra perks for being a realtor with Epique. And so on the surface, that's kind of cool, but at the end of the day, will these things help you sell more real estate? Now, being on a billboard very well could. Having a transaction coordinator help you with your paperwork, that definitely could be a time saver there for sure. And so do these things add up to negate what they actually charge on their fees? Because remember, if you go back to the business model, financial model of Epique, they came in at number 4 because they are the most expensive. So listing agents, I'm talking to you here. If you're a listing agent, maybe Epique would be a good scenario for you to be in. So if you take Epique's model, which came in at number 4, and you compare it to the cheapest option on the financial model, which is Real. Overall, if you put those together and take the most expensive model compared to the cheapest model, and you're a listing agent doing about 10 listings per year, you're looking at Real being about $6,000 to $7,000 cheaper than being at Epique. But wait, with the offerings that Epique offers, and you assign monetary value to those things, like a transaction coordinator per file, listing photos per listing, sign install per listing, and you add those up over the course of 10 of those per year, then Epique actually becomes a better deal if you're going to pay roughly $200 to $250 for a transaction coordinator, about $250 for listing photos, and $30 to $40 for sign installs. So in that scenario, maybe it's better or cheaper for someone who does a lot of listings to be with Epique if you're assigning those type of values to those things that you'll use in your business. And again, please keep in mind, this is just going apples to apples in terms of offerings versus cost. This is not taking into consideration anything like additional bonuses like stock and revenue share, which we'll cover here in just a second. Just straight up offerings that the broker is going to give an agent for being with the company. And number 2 on the list when it comes to offerings, I'm going to go with eXp Realty. And the reason I'm going to go with eXp Realty is because although there is a monthly fee, you do get KV Core, a CRM, and some other things for that fee. Now, do you use them or not? That's up to you and your business. Maybe you choose not to. Either way, you still have to pay the monthly fee, but you do get those things as part of that fee. So if you do choose to use the items that you are kind of paying for, they can be very cheap because it's done at scale. But if you choose not to use them, then maybe the offerings would actually sync on that list of 1 to 4. But we're going to put eXp in at number 2. Number 3 is going to be Real Broker. And the reason Real is coming in at number 3 is because they actually have a lot of this tech stuff that is being offered to the agent and what is coming down the pike in terms of the AI and the assistant to be able to help an agent actually convert deals while they're sleeping. That is going to be very special and arguably could end up being the best offering out there when that's all said and done. So Real comes in at number 3. And coming in at number 4 is going to be LPT. And again, primarily because LPT is the cheapest brokerage to be at. So again, they can't do a whole lot when they don't have a whole lot of revenue coming in, because again, what I've been told is about 85 to 90% of the company, the agents with the company, are on the business builder option, which is the cheap option where there's no revenue share and that sort of thing. So again, when you don't have a lot of revenue coming in, it's hard to reinvest that into offerings giving back to the agent. So LPT comes in at number 4. Now we're moving on to the culture and community aspect of this. And that number 1 spot's going to be Real Broker. And again, the reason why Real is number 1 is because of their One Real community concept. That's right. So what happens in a cloud-based business model when revenue share is on the table, you have the ability sometimes for companies to form silos. You have one person that starts at the top and they provide a lot of value and people want to join. And when they join, they kind of stick together as their own tribe. And if you're with this tribe, you get all the benefits, bells and whistles. But if someone else from another tribe with the same company wants to come join and get part of that training, no, it's reserved as a perk for being with our tribe. So then that person in this tribe, they get all the perks of being in that tribe, but they don't share laterally across the table. And Real does a really good job because that's not the way it is at Real. At Real, it's One Real. You can be in this tribe here, but we are all one company. We all share horizontally across together. That starts from the top and has worked its way down. And if there is one superpower for Real, it is their culture, not other things that maybe are talked about much more than culture. So with Real, you have people at the top, people who are on their game, their A game, on any topic in real estate, teaching and training others from across the whole entire country. And when there's a mastermind, anybody from anywhere at the company, as long as you're with Real, can join these masterminds, the academy. And we'll get to training in a second. But again, the culture is very special. And because we have agents that come to the company like that, knowing that that's what they're signing up for, it perpetuates itself and becomes a place that's really fun and enjoyable to be at, with this sharing mindset and attitude all across the entire company. See, it wasn't like this at the last company I was at. And it's not any of the 3 companies in this video. It's a whole different company that was franchised. And when you were with this franchise, you had certain rules and certain owner. And then if you went over here to this franchise, you may as well have been with a whole different company under the umbrella of the main name, because they didn't give a rip if you were under the same umbrella. They're going to do their things the way they do it and their rules, and you have your rules, and there's no collaboration. So it's a breath of fresh air to have that collaboration across the entire company, sharing things and receiving things that people are sharing with you all the time. Number 2 is going to be Epique. Epique comes in number 2 for culture and community, because the owner who started Epique actually came from eXp. And one of the reasons he says he left is because he wanted to do things in terms of culture and community a little bit different than eXp. He wanted to try to have this collaboration with the entire company across all states and cities and have no borders, similar to Real. And they're doing a decent job of it. It's still a pretty small company, but they've gone from 2,000 to 4,000 agents in about a year. And so they are growing across the country. And with 4,000 agents and having some collaboration, they're doing a decent job. And so that's why Epique comes in at number 2. Number 3 is going to be LPT Realty. And they come in number 3 because LPT Realty has some good collaboration from what I hear with agents across the company. But the one difference is, because some agents are on the revenue share side and some agents are on the business builder side, there sometimes is some friction between those two things, because the business builder agent actually isn't sharing with revenue and it's cheaper. Sometimes there's some animosity to an extent from the agent who's paying more, but they have the ability to earn revenue share. Yet they can't earn revenue share off these people, which is of the vast majority of the company, because they're not signed up on that program. But within that business builder network, there is some good collaboration, because a lot of those agents are on the same type of deal, where they're there to have a low cost solution, but yet maybe have the ability, if they get their business rolling, to convert over to the revenue share platform at some point in the future. But we all know how that goes. It's kind of like when you move into a house, you will say, well, I'm okay with the garage not being painted for right now, because I'll get to it. I'm moving the house and it's not that big of a deal. It's a garage. But then 7 years later, when you go to sell the house and the buyer walks in and goes, man, I wish this garage was painted. You're like, oh, yeah, I never got around to that. Because typically, you know how it goes. If you don't do it when you first move in, you're probably not gonna get it done. And number 4 on the list is gonna be eXp. And again, the reason eXp makes number 4 is because of their silo effect that they have with their company. eXp did a great job being the first cloud-based brokerage model to pioneer the road for a lot of other companies that are now coming along the way. But in doing so, they actually started creating silos, because so-and-so would come to the company and start provide a lot of value and training and mentoring to all these agents that came over under him or her. And then they became this tribe, and that tribe was named something. And then you had this other tribe here with a different name, but they're with the same umbrella company, eXp, yet there's no cross collaboration between the two, because they had to keep their value proposition specific to their tribe, because that was the reason somebody would join their tribe when they want to come to eXp, as opposed to joining this other tribe. And so you have all these different silos or tribes across the platform of eXp that have formed over the years. And when doing so, you now have segmentation within the company, and not this one major platform where everyone shares together, unfortunately. So that's why they come in at number 4 on the list of culture and collaboration. Next on the list is going to be training. Now, training is very important, because whether you're a seasoned agent or a brand new one, you really need to always be learning. And so to have access to good training is very important. And number 1 on the list is going to be Real Broker. Real Broker actually has Real Academy. Real Academy are taught by agents that are elite agents. It's just a status that are given to agents that close a certain amount of volume every single year. And so that would lead one to believe that they must know what they're doing, to an extent at least, right? If they're closing a bunch of transactions. And then they go back and they give back in Real Academy by teaching 1 time a month, or more in some cases, to all the agents with Real. And everyone has the access to 30 to 40 classes every single week that are live in Real Academy, covering the gamut of all topics in real estate. They also record and store all those classes on Real Academy, so someone can search their heart's content to go watch a specific speaker on a specific topic anytime they would like. And this has been a game changer because, again, when I was at my previous company, we were a franchise model. We had some good agents that taught there, but I was probably only okay having about 3 or 4 of those agents teach the agents from my team, which is great. But again, it'd be the same 3 or 4 agents every single time teaching all the different topics. When now I can hear different voices from how they do it in a different state or city, teach the same topic, but with a different flair, a different spin from someone who's very successful at teaching whatever it is that they are teaching on. So it's just a really good training system, and it's a really good training system that perpetuates itself and just is getting better and better. And most recently, Real Academy actually switched over to a masterclass style. If you go to masterclass.com, you'll see what I'm talking about, where there are agents creating masterclasses, really good content and good looking aesthetically content, because they're incentivized to do so. And it really ups the game for all their agents to be able to go in and listen to these master classes. It's really good for other agents to go in and listen to this master class from this agent that is their superpower, teaching about that with this master class topic. And so this is really going to up the game for Real Academy here in the future. Number 2 on the list is going to be eXp. eXp has actually some pretty good training. And again, in their eXp world, they have training aspects and courses that people can go in with your avatar, and you can pop into rooms and you can listen to so-and-so talk about whatever topic it is on training. But here's the problem with it. The problem is because of their silo effects, and they want to have value proposition for the people in their tribe, so to speak, they save the best training for the tribe, the silos, the people in those networks, and this network and that network. And the training given to all the agents that want to walk in there to the eXp world because maybe they joined a tribe or silo that doesn't provide as much value isn't the best training. The good stuff is reserved for the tribes or the silos or the networks that are providing value to the agents as an incentive to join them under the eXp umbrella. So that's the flaw with the training at eXp. Number 3 for training is going to be LPT Realty. And the reason why is because they actually are trying to up their game for agent training courses, and it's led by none other than Robert Palmer. They hired Robert Palmer to come in to try to revamp all their agent training courses and their systems. And so agents have the ability now to type into some live courses and recorded webinars as well. And LPT stands for Listing Power Tools. So a lot of this is based around their old Listing Power Tool kit that they used to sell before they became a real estate brokerage years and years ago, in which an agent can pick up this like cardboard box, like a pizza box almost, with all these materials inside of it that they can bring their listing presentation in a box, so to speak, to the seller, and then at the presentation open it up and show them hard samples of things like maybe a text writer that goes on a sign or flyers and things of that nature. So LPT does a pretty good job with their training overall. And number 4 is going to be Epique. Now, Epique offers some free mentorship, coaching, and training, but the way it's structured and rolled out isn't fully cohesive, and the platform's not that big quite yet. Now, part of it's because they don't have that many agents quite yet, but they are growing, and they probably will continue to grow because the trend is the cloud-based brokerage model. And so I think more and more agents will be joining that model. The question becomes, which company, which model fits best for your specific personality and business? But Epique comes in at number 4 on the training. All right, the next topic is going to be stock. Now, who offers stock and how the stock bonuses are paid out? How does that all work? That's a great question. Well, first and foremost, only 2 of the 4 cloud-based brokerages that are mentioned that we're talking about here actually are publicly traded on the NASDAQ. The other 2 companies, LPT Realty and Epique, are not publicly traded, so there is no stock offering that can be sold for real money at the current time. Now, both companies have a mechanism to try to offer stock, but it's not public yet, so this is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And kind of how this works is, unfortunately, when people are given stock before the company's public, they accumulate stock, and hopefully it kind of jacks up the momentum for an IPO at some point in the future. And if it gets held for too long and the IPO finally occurs, you could have the effect that Compass, the real estate brokerage Compass, had when it first IPO'd. Now, if you look at the Compass graph here, you can see when it IPO'd at a certain dollar amount, and it actually tailed off and still has never recovered to that initial IPO number. And the reason why is because people are holding stock and so excited that when IPO they could sell it and make a bunch of money. But the downside is it kills the stock valuation and the momentum, and unfortunately it hasn't regained its initial foothold ever since. But on the other hand, when it comes to stock offerings, number 1 is going to be Real Broker. And the main reason why is because you can earn more stock being at Real. With Real, there's something called an Elite Agent Award. And the Elite Agent Award, if it is earned, pays out $16,000 worth of company stock. That is incredible. But wait, there's more. After you become an elite agent, you now have the ability to earn the Culture Award, which basically means you have the ability to teach in Real Academy. And if you do one class, one time a month for 12 months, at the end of that 12 months, the company will pay you $8,000 more in company stock for a total of $24,000 in company stock just that 1 year. Real also offers a stock purchase program in which it's kind of like a 401k that they will match a certain amount of money that you take from closings production and use it to buy Real stock. They'll match a certain amount of that on top of your money to buy more and more Real stock. They also have a couple of bonuses like attraction bonuses and capping bonuses similar to eXp. Speaking of which, let's go to number 2, and that is eXp. Obviously, they have those bonuses like we just talked about. They also have what is called, instead of an Elite Agent Award, they have an Icon Award. And with the Icon Award, you also can earn $16,000 of company stock for achieving that award. Now, the only difference is when you achieve it with the Elite Agent Award with Real, you get paid the $16,000 because you hit the Elite Agent Award, boom, there you go, here's $16,000 of stock. No questions asked. With eXp, when you achieve the Icon Award, you get a portion of the $16,000 of company stock, and the remaining part has some strings attached, like you have to attend a certain amount of eXp events for the year. And if you don't, then, well, you forfeit that portion of the stock that you earn by becoming an Icon agent. So I'm not sure why that's the case, but that's how it works. eXp also has their own version of a stock purchase plan as well, similar to Real's, but a little bit different. So overall, the difference of that stock offering comes down to what you make or can make if you achieve the Elite Agent Award versus what you can make if you achieve the Icon Award. And that's why Real earns the #1 spot and eXp comes in at number 2. Now let's go to the last topic, which is revenue share. Now this could be the big one because this is the one that people always dangle the carrot on and think big, dream big, and you can make just all kinds of money. And the reality is that is true for a certain percentage of agents, but for most agents, that will never be the case. However, the revenue share programs for all 4 of these companies are a little bit different. So let's dive in. Number 1 on the list for revenue share is going to be Real Broker. And the reason why it's going to be Real Broker is because the amount of revenue share earned per agent that you have below you is the highest out of all 4 companies, no question about it. And before I get all the haters saying, well, hold on, eXp 2.0 revenue share is much better than what it was, and therefore it could be better than Real's, you could have a point because it depends on which aspect of the revenue share is most important to you. But eXp 2.0 is a very good revenue share system. We'll cover that in just a couple minutes. But going back to Real's revenue share is based on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 model. It's 5%, 4%, 3%, 2%, and then 1%, 5 levels deep. Now, the thing about Real is that it's flipped from most of the revenue share models in which the highest payout is actually on line 1. And why is that? Well, number 1, let's go over a couple stats. The stats are anywhere from 10 to 15% of all agents at a company that's cloud-based with revenue share are going to be actually receiving revenue share and participating in it. That's right. That leaves another 85 to 90% of all the agents that receive no revenue share, even though they're with the company. So you don't have everyone even participating in revenue share to begin with. Also, the stat when it comes to revenue share models for any type of company out there in the world says this, that the average person in a model like that, no matter if they're selling protein bars, shampoo, or real estate, will only ever bring over 3.4 people to the company during their tenure with that company. If that's true, that means that the vast majority of agents that even participate in revenue share will never go to level 2, 3, 4, 5, or in eXp's case, 6 or 7. So the ability to have the highest payout on line 1 is huge because that's where most of the people will stop if they even begin to start with 3.4 people. And so with Real's, it's very clear. You can earn up to $4,000 per person that you bring in on your line 1. And so it's very clear that you know how much money you can earn if that person does cap that is below you. Then of course, you know the max earning on line 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's up to you on how much you want to work on this to bring people in that are producers to help you with your revenue share. So close behind Real is going to be number 2. It's going to be eXp. These 2 are much better, in my humble opinion, than 3 and 4, which we'll cover as well. But eXp is right there at number 2. Now, eXp's was just changed to eXp Revenue Share 2.0 just a little while ago, and they did some major changes that actually will help a lot of agents, but also hurt a lot of agents that were already with the company. So for example, eXp's revenue share goes down 7 levels. Real's only goes down 5, but they have different payouts through those different levels. Now with eXp 2.0, here's the interesting catch, is that right away you have opened up lines 1, 2, and 3, without any other agent requirements that you bring to the company. That's pretty cool. Whereas with Real, you have no requirements to open up line 1, but you do have to bring in 5 agents to the company to be able to open up line 2 and 15 to open up line 3, 20, line 4, and 25, line 5. Where with eXp, you open up the first 3 right away without having any requirements of bringing agents over to the company. So that part is actually very nice. But wait, here's the catch. 2 things. Number 1, you have a total pot of revenue share every single day, month, year that comes in to the company that they then share out to all the agents per the model and the calculations. The overall pot that is capped for eXp that they'll ever share out to their agents is 50% of that revenue, meaning that eXp will always reserve the right to keep the other 50% for the company and their profits. Well, because what company doesn't need revenue? They have to have some revenue come in to be able to operate the company. So that makes sense, right? But with Real, they have a 60% payout, which means there's a bigger 60% pot, extra 10% that will continue to be shared out to all the agents throughout the revenue share tree. And they will retain the right to retain 40% for operations. And they can do this based upon their technology because they own it, and their production and efficiency per having less employees for a certain amount of agent ratio compared to the other companies, again, based on efficiencies, systems, and tech. So that brings me to my second point regarding this, and that is even though eXp 2.0 has the first 3 lines open right away, which is really cool, without any agent requirements, the problem is they now have capped percentages on each line. So there's no way to know how much you can make on an agent in your line 1, your line 2, line 3, line 4, and so on all the way down to line 7, because there's caps on it. So for example, in a given month, if a bunch of agents across the entire company did deals on line 1 and you had agents in your line 1, it might cap out at that percentage cap per that line. And therefore, what you should have been paid this much, you only got paid out that much because of the cap. It just so happened to work that way. And the same goes for any agents on your line 2, 3, 4, and 5, all the way down to line 7. So there's no way to know exactly how much the payout's gonna be per your agent you bring over that's in your line 1 or your line 2 and so on and so forth, which kind of stinks. So effectively what eXp 2.0 did is because they reserve 50% to always go to the company, they are going to pay out more revenue share to more agents, but they're going to take away a lot of revenue share from agents that would have been made a lot more because of it. So that's the pro and the con with it. So we've heard from a lot of eXp agents that we know that their revenue share when 2.0 came out was kind of cut in half. So it's great for new agents coming in that don't have any other agents and they bring maybe 1 or 2 over and they can start getting paid on them right away. That's fantastic. The downside is for an eXp agent who's been there for a while, that kind of sucks because now you get revenue share cut approximately in half. For number 3 on revenue share, it's going to be Epique Realty. And the reason Epique Realty makes number 3 is because they actually have no agent minimum requirements, similar to the first 3 lines of eXp or the first line of Real. They have 5 levels deep and all levels are open immediately, which is really nice. And at every single level, you get 10% of the company's portion of the commission, that 85-15 split, that 15%, they get 10% of that on all 5 levels. So that's kind of cool too. But at the same time, it gets squeezed down because what happens with Epique's model, when it comes to your split or your cap, it actually reduces based on your production as it goes up. So as your production goes up, your cap goes down after years of service with the company. And so what that does is if they're paying less to the company, you're getting paid less on that 10% on revenue share. So it's kind of a cannibalistic model to an extent in which the company's protected that way. Their 50% is protected because as the amount of revenue goes to the company over time with agents decreases based on their years of service and production, the revenue share payouts get less and less as well, which is not always the best thing. Because see, for me, I want my revenue share to grow over time. And again, effectively, it could happen with Epique where it grows over time because you just got to bring more and more people in. At the same time, I want it to not get cut down just because someone produces more or is with the company longer, which always keeps you on that treadmill of having to bring new people into the company, which at the end of the day is not what I personally would be looking to do. Number 4 comes in with LPT Realty. And the main reason why is because the per revenue share agent dollar max amount is much lower than Real's. Now it has 7 levels, but if you look right here, the maximum potential per each agent is 775 on line 1, whereas with Real, it's 4,000. Look at line 2, it's 450, whereas Real, it's 3,200. And then it goes down from there where the max payout is 175, 175, 175, 250, and then 500 on line 7. The crazy part about line 7 is with LPT, I don't know if anyone's on line 7 because again, most of the people at the company are on the business builder track, not the revenue share track. But with eXp, where everyone's on a revenue share program like Real, less than 1% of all their agents, and they have about 82, 83,000 agents right now, as of today, less than 1% have ever made it down to level 7. So that's a great payout if you can get there. It's an extra level, and it's a better payout as well for LPT. But again, the chances that you ever get there are going to be few and far between. So LPT Realty comes in at number 4 for the revenue share. So I hope this video was informative for you, whether you're a buyer agent more so, or a listing agent, or an investor, or a non-producer, an influencer, whatever the case is, and whatever you're looking to do. I hope this video helps break it down for the differences between these 4 cloud-based brokerage models. Now, I know Real ended up as the number 1 spot for most of these categories, but again, it's not because I'm biased, it's because that's why I chose to be with Real, because looking at it objectively, when I came over from a non-cloud-based brokerage model, it just happened to check the boxes as the best in the vast majority of the topics that an agent's looking for when looking to make the move. I'm super thrilled. Me and my team have been with Real for about 2.5 years, and it is the best career decision I made in my 20-year career, bar none. And I'm not just saying that. So I'm so passionate about it. I want to go on to YouTube and the video and tell the entire world. But if you have any questions, please call me at 480-660-5974, or you can book a link on the Calendly link just below. I'd be happy to answer any further questions you have about Real Broker, eXp, LPT, or Epique, and what might be best for you. And last but not least, if you could, comment below, get the conversation started. Where am I wrong? Where am I right? What would you rank as the top real estate cloud-based brokerage out there today, currently? Make it a great day, and I hope to see you out there in the real estate world very soon.